Shed antitestosterone. Let's
Alright, you guys, what's up? It's your boy Seiko. And how y'all guys been? Leave it down in the comments below, now we'll reply back. So, as you can see, the motor's in the car, and yeah, we have the coolant reservoir, not coolant reservoir, but the coolant all filled up and everything, and yeah. So, let me explain a little bit what's going on. Okay, as you see, got everything put together, got all the hoses and everything routed, the batteries hooked up. We don't have the clutch fan on. We're just trying to get this car to spin over and run for a little minute so we can burn all that condensation off of it, like, you know, all the new parts and stuff. Basically burn it and break it in. And yeah, but for some oddly reason the car is not cranking. Like, you can spin the motor over as much as you want to, but it's just not want to stay running. It cranks up like strong and everything, but now I just went to crank it before I picked the camera up, and it spun over and then instantly shuts off. But it sounds like the battery is kind of weak, so that's a dead battery. I mean, that battery is pretty sure it's old. It was, I think it was in, I forgot when you said, like 2021 when that battery was replaced. And yeah, but we charged it up and it did pretty good, like cranking up, but now it's just having a hard time like to stay running. Like, it doesn't want to run at all. So we unplugged a few sensors that usually can cause that, like a faulty temp sensor, or you know, a faulty mass airflow sensor. Basically trying to see if the car can run without that. And I know another thing we did also as well is the TPMS sensor. We adjusted that, and yeah, so now here we are. So I know y'all see a little line. I've been fishing, so y'all have to bear with me. Yeah, so now we're just trying to figure out what's the reason of it not starting. Some people saying it could be ignition and timing, basically meaning the timing may be off, or it could be the crank angle sensor needs to be adjusted, or it could be a load of things, meaning, you know, you never know what it could be. It could be, you know, a coil pack wire swapped around or anything, which I double checked, well, triple checked that, made sure everything was good. What else? I checked for any boost leak hoses, like, not boost leak hoses, but any hoses that was like possibly like loose or anything in the process of us putting everything together to try to get it running at least. and everything checks out fine. Now we're just trying to figure out what is actually going on. You know, like, could it possibly be the PTU? Because the PTU, I'll probably show y'all in a little bit. All right, you guys. So, anywho, like I was saying, the motor was kind of tough to put in because of the fact of the downpipes and and the steer rack and everything. So yeah, that was the hard part. And lining it up with the transmission was kind of tough because we did have the car like just like at an angle like this basically, and we had to put it on all fours in order for it to, you know, line up. So yeah, but anywho, so back to the PTU part. So we was putting the motor in, and the PTU literally got caught on the I want to say the pipe. Let me show you. It basically got caught on this pipe right here, and you probably won't be able to see it, but right here on this connection, if you pull that off, it's a crack right there. And now I put the connector on there, and I'm hoping that it's still getting good connection, but if not, I'm pretty sure it might be the case is why it's doing that. But I mean, I would want to try that, but at the same time, I feel like it's something else because it's still able to fire up and everything. So yeah, but yeah, I kind of what I want to do is kind of take this timing cover off and look at where we're at. And yeah, because we did have issues with the belt kind of like trying to walk back a little bit, but still at the end of the day, I think that's probably normal for this belt to do that because it's settling itself in, because we spun the motor over quite a few times. And yeah, and the first time, I'm not gonna lie you guys, the first time we did the timing belt, we had the clear timing covers on, the AMS timing covers, and for some odd reason it just basically didn't work. Reason meaning this side would touch of the timing cover right there. The timing cover, see how this timing cover has like a little slight bend in it like that? The AMS didn't. And for some reason, I don't know why the timing cover was touching the belt. And I was looking, and we were spinning the motor over. The motor kind of would like, you know, take a little tough time to spin over. And yeah, it just, I don't know, it was kind of weird to me at first. And I realized when I was looking around to see what was going on, that ended up being a culprit, meaning basically that the belt was getting caught, and it was basically trying to cause it to jump timing. And that right there was not a good sign, because like I said last video, that's why I put this would have costed him a motor, because the simple fact that will cost you a motor if it jumps timing. You don't know what it can do. It can break valves or anything. So yeah, but for the most part, yeah, I'm trying to figure out if it's timing related or what, because we made sure that the timing belt was good and everything was lined up and everything. So yeah, now when I was just spinning the car over, I think I mentioned earlier, or I didn't. If I didn't, the car did, like when I turned it over, tried one last time, it hiccuped, and then it tried to backfire out of the driver's side downpipe. So I don't know. That's possibly timing related, but I hope it's not, because now if it is, literally have to tear this motor back down, like not tear it down, but like the front half of the motor. And yes, that, I don't know, possibly maybe have to pull this motor again. And yeah, because I just know it's gonna be a hassle, because putting that harmonic balancer on was a pain, for one, because we had to expand the harmonic balancer, and two, it is time consuming. You have to be dedicated to do this, which I don't mind doing it, but at the same time, I just know you're gonna run into maybe having to probably order more parts and be on back order and all this stuff. And that's the real reason why this took so long, because of parts being on back order, and then just the simple fact, you know, work and everything was getting in the way. Can't really focus on doing anything. So yeah, but we're gonna figure something out and check everything, make sure there's nothing like that we missed or anything. And yeah, so yep, now here we are. All right, you guys, so first things first that I found out is when you open this throttle body a little bit, there's a little bit of smoke, as you can see right there. See that? It just whisked across the screen. It's possibly injectors, because it smells like fuel, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the injectors are, I don't know, either leaking or what. And we had this problem before, so in order to check that, I had to check these coil packs out, and basically we're gonna have to put the car to the on position, not actually crank it up, and see if it's getting any fuel in there, or if it's leaking fuel past the O-rings or anything. Because if so, possibly have to pull this plenum off and do this O-ring, do the O-rings on here, which we just did. But maybe a pinched O-ring, you never know, because you know that could probably cause an issue. But yeah, so we're not gonna stop right there, because I still want to pull this timer cover off right here and see if it's anything time related. So yeah, we're not going to spin the motor anymore, because I don't want to keep spinning it over, and you know, it could damage something. The fact that I don't want I don't want basically this car to sit there and spin over and then it damage something internally just because of fuel related. And yeah, that could save you a lot of money just because of that. So yeah. All right, you guys, so got some good news. Timing looks fine to me. I'm gonna turn the camera around and I'm gonna show y'all what I mean by that. See, there's the timing belt. Timing belt is fine. As you can see, it's lined up. The teeth haven't skipped or anything, which I'm pretty sure it hasn't. Yeah, it's the crank angle sensor right here. Those of you that own a 300ZX. So now another thing I did to check my fuel, uh-oh, it's gas. Another thing I did to check my fuel system, make sure it's priming, I pulled this fuel line from the fuel filter right here, and I put a bottle right here. Make sure you cover all this up, because fuel will shoot out on you if you haven't priming the system. So that's one thing you need to do for anything. It's another way to do it, but this is a quick way to show you, to make sure you're getting fuel into your fuel system. And yeah, so pulled this line. I got a video of it that I just did. And you should get fuel, a bunch of fuel come out when you prime it. So it's about like 2 times when I primed it. And well, maybe 1 time, because I did just spill a lot of it. I kicked it over by accident. So yeah, so that's good. That's good to know. But the thing with the fuel injectors, the only way you can tell if they're firing properly is to check the resistance, or and pull these coil packs out, and pull the spark plugs out and check how the spark plugs are firing. And then basically you have these off, take your spark plugs out, the coil packs, spark plugs, and what you can do is not spin the motor over, but turn it to the on position, and yeah, and see if anything's leaking or not, meaning fuel injectors. So you can check that, and if it is leaking fuel when you prime the system, excuse me, you guys, and you prime the system, that's not good. That means you have either a pinched O-ring, or your O-ring is no good. So these are pretty new, and possibly could be a pinched O-ring to me, I feel like. And yeah, I'll double check either way it goes. But in order to check that, you guys want like this, those of you on the 300, you got to pull this plenum back off. All this harness and all that, pull that back, and this plenum has to come off. Luckily, if you have deletes, it'll be a lot easier for you. If you don't have deletes, for instance, like the EGR that runs all up under there, right there, that bolt right there, is a pipe that runs all the way back to the EGR system, and it is a pain. you have to pull this up and literally pull that down if you haven't pulled it off on your car for I don't know how long. That's like emissions, and that's why we delete these on these cars, because we don't have emissions down here in Alabama. So yeah, but anywho, the main goal is you pull these coil packs out, spark plugs, and then turn your key to the on position. If it shoots fuel down each cylinder, and you know, not each cylinder, but basically in one of those cylinders, then you have a pinch O-ring. So we want to check that. And if it has a pinch O-ring, that means you could possibly flood your motor, and you don't want to do that. So yeah. All right, you guys, so I got some good news and some bad news. So I'm gonna take y'all over here and just go ahead and show y'all guys. All right, so these are the spark plugs that came out of each cylinder. So this is 1, 3, and 5, 2, 4, and 6. Number 1 is not getting any fuel. The top of the piston is dry as hell, like literally dry. But when I cleaned the piston off, cylinder number 3 is damp. It has some fuel coming into it, as you can see. You know, it's pretty good. All right, and then cylinder number 5 is not. It's getting. I'm not gonna say not, but it's damp too as well. Not getting enough fuel, but still that has some dampness on the piston. So you come over here, right? Cylinder number 2, dry. Cylinder number 4, dry. Cylinder number 6, dry. So 2 out of 6 spark plugs are getting fuel, and that's the reason why the car is not running. That's the reason why the car is not running. So what that means, basically, you're not firing on all cylinders, in other words. So you need all cylinders in order for this car to run. Any car you do, you need all cylinders running. So right now, what I possibly could do is basically pull the plenum and check the fuel rail, and yeah, go from there. So another thing too, I didn't mention, you possibly, which I didn't check, reason for, I had a reason for, because it was leaking fuel. You possibly, golly, flies. You possibly could have a faulty dampener. Let me show you what that is. This right here on your 300ZX is faulty. I mean, not faulty. This is your dampener. I don't know why I say faulty. It could go faulty, meaning it's not working properly. It's not squirting out fuel properly. And there's your other one. So I know for a fact those are working, because each time I did it, I had a fuel leak coming from this one. That one, we never had an issue with, because it always sits on there properly, because it's at an angle. As you can see, it sits up here up top. Down here, it sits down there. And you can never really get on point to making sure that leaks. So, and especially when it's winter, you know, it decides to expand or shrink or anything. So, yeah. But, yeah, so that's where we at right now. And I'm probably going to chill for the day, call it quits, and pick this back up another day.
Race to the fence, push it to the limit, and we winning, and we winning. I'm speed, I'm racing to the fence, push it to the limit, and we winning, yeah, we winning. Look at speed, I'm racing to the fence, push it to the limit, I'm speeding, I'm racing.